See if you can guess the month and the year. Well, it's April 2020, kind of done with that. Have you noticed? It's a great real estate market. Lots of new agents have gotten in the business, lots of new companies in the business. I'm hearing a lot of ads on the radio for new companies coming into the business. Why? And if you're a seller, what should you do about that? Should that tempt you to go with someone that's new and enthusiastic? We're going to talk about that. You know, the misconception is if property selling quickly, that means property selling easily. Selling quickly and selling easily are two entirely different things. Selling quickly and getting the highest possible price are two different things. Selling quickly and getting the best possible buyer that's going to go through with the transaction are two different things. Selling at the highest price but still getting the valuation in by the bank are two different things. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and all these new agents and companies coming in and just some things you can look for as a seller if you're trying to make that decision on who to list your property with. And part of the problem to all that is when the market gets back to normal, which it will, all these companies that have jumped in to try and take advantage of a good real estate market cause all the damage that long-term agents and agents that make this a career have to deal with down the road. I've been doing this 35 years, and after every great market, there's a lot of collateral damage that we have to deal with. So I know that doesn't really affect you. It affects more the experienced agents in the business. So I suppose all I can say is if you're going to pick an agent, at least pick an agent that has experience of 10, 20, 30, 40 years in the business, because there is no substitute for experience in selling real estate. You can read all the books you want, you can have the fanciest promotion videos you want, but at the end of the day, when the rubber meets the road, it's the on-ground experience of your agent that will make the difference. And let me give you a few examples of the things that I've done in the last few months that come from an experience standpoint. I had an offer come in on a property, sight unseen, spectacular price. Now the problem with that is the buyer hadn't seen it. So we accepted the offer, but then I went and got a backup offer for a similar price. So if this buyer faltered because they hadn't seen the property, we have a backup offer in place. Well, guess what happened? The sight unseen buyer backed out in their 5-day cooling off. I immediately put the property back under contract at the same price with a backup buyer. That comes from experience. And speaking of that, if a valuation does come in low, does your agent have the experience to know how to handle that? The way I handle that is I handle it at the front end. I tell a buyer, the valuation will probably come in low from your bank if they're getting finance. Do you have the ability to put cash into the deal to make up the low valuation to the loan amount or the price you want to pay? If they don't, that's kind of a red flag, especially if I pretty much know the vals are going to come in low because the banks haven't caught up yet with our market. Here's another one. Let's say we do have a finance clause and they ask for an extension. Should you just say no and go back to the start? Why are they asking for an extension? What's caused that to happen? Again, that comes down to experience. And if we do grant an extension, are there things we can do to ensure that that buyer is serious, like getting part of the deposit possibly released before that extension, especially if it's for a technicality? So again, back to experience of your agent who's dealt with these sort of things before in different markets. Next one, buyer does the building and pest and comes up with a list of repairs. It's a great offer, so do you just do the repairs, or do you say no to the repairs, or do you negotiate? Do you try and fix the repairs? Do you do a credit back to the buyer? Do you do a reduction in sales price? These are all sorts of questions that an experienced agent will know and help you, the seller, towards the result you want, as opposed to, it's a hot market, the buyers ask for all this to be done, let's just say no. Buyer walks away out of principle and you're back to the start again, hoping to get as good an offer a second time around and hoping those same issues on the building and pest don't come up again. I suppose in a way this is kind of a video trying to get sellers to understand the value of experience. I just lost some business to a local agent who's relatively new in the business but does a really nice lifestyle type video. Here I am having coffee, here I am with my family, here I am going to the gym. Nothing on selling real estate. And one of my clients got kind of sold the sizzle, not the steak, and has employed him to work on selling a property and managing a property, but he virtually has no experience. His videographer is really good, but that's not selling houses. So you've got to be careful about how you pick your agent. And also, an agent's job really is working with buyers to get them to make an offer at the highest possible price. So yes, we have to have that relationship with the seller, but the relationship we have with the buyer becomes most critical in getting you the highest sales price. So as a seller, just just be aware you're not hiring a best buddy to go drinking with. You're hiring someone that can work with buyers to get you the most amount of money in this market. So that's kind of it. In 35 years, I have literally seen it all. I know how hard to push. I know when to stop. Those things only come with experience. So if you're thinking about selling, gosh, obviously I'd love to call, but if I don't get it, at least call an experienced agent who has at least 10 years in the business and hopefully has been through one of these great markets before. And normally that takes 20 years in the business. If you're thinking about getting your property managed, we do a great job of that too. And if you're a buyer, hey, give me a call. I'll certainly try my best to help you find a piece of property. That's it for now. Have a great week.